You know what? You censor me in real time if you've got a problem with it.
Oh, I love doing that. Go.
All right.
Actually.
Hey everyone, I'm Blair, also known as Moog, and this is Marty, and we are from Mighty Car Mods.
And we're very excited to be in the Creator Capsule, encapsulating cars and some culture as well. The first episode happened because my good friend here decided it would be smart to buy a Jeep. That was not a smart decision. He soon worked out afterwards that it was a terrible decision. He wanted a small car that used less fuel, more efficient and cooler. But these small cars, which happened to be a little Daihatsu, red Daihatsu that he bought, it didn't have anything cool in it. Didn't have cool wheels, didn't have a good stereo. It had nothing. And he's like, can I just come over on the weekend and can we modify it? I'm like, absolutely. We'll put a stereo in. We'll do all this sort of stuff. Come over on Saturday. We're working during the week together at this point. And he showed him, said, I'll film it, it'll be fun. And we'll chuck it on YouTube. We chucked one or two other little videos on YouTube before that because there was no other way to share video, really. And that's the first episode of what became Mighty Car Mods, although it wasn't initially called that.
When we looked at the numbers on the first video, and I believe after a week we had 300 views, the idea that 300 people had looked at it blew our minds, and that was an exciting feeling that continues to this day, but it was never a motivation.
We would also shoot videos like on a Saturday morning because we were working 9 to 5 at studio. It was never 9 to 5, it was 24/7 sometimes. But we would shoot a video and then it'd be like, oh, it's 4 o'clock, my gig's at 7. We better put this car back together because I had a load of PA into it, drive across the other side of Sydney and go and play a gig until 3 in the morning. And if the car wasn't finished, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, he'd be at the door going, wake up, we've got to finish this video.
Yeah. And not for money. Like there was no monetization, no sponsors, nothing. It was just done for fun. I'm proud of that. While Marty and I are most known for cars, we actually met working at a school teaching music. And so I went and applied for a job as a composer in residence at a performing arts high school. Marty had gone to that school and he was already working there. And from my understanding is they said to you, they whittled it down to 2 applicants, correct? And I was one of them.
3 applicants.
3 of them.
You were one of them.
I was one of them. And then Martin, as the junior, got to choose.
I did. They laid it out on the desk and they said, read these 3 resumes. Who do you want to work with? Who do you think's the best? And I chose him.
Why did you choose me?
I don't know. I didn't know anything. I didn't know you had a cool car at that point.
No.
I found that out after.
Yeah.
No, you were definitely most qualified. And you also weren't like, you seemed up to date on current music stuff. The resume was really strong. You're interested in video and media and all the other stuff that was on there.
And I think you also needed a hand with one of your uni assignments. That's one of the first things you asked me because I'd already finished my degree because I'm 5 years older than Marty. But later on, I went out to start a recording studio in Sydney or take over one that was going to be closing. And we managed to build it up to a point that they said, you can employ an engineer. And I returned the favor and I hired him.
Yes.
And so, yeah, at one point, he got me a job, then I got him a job, and now we're each other's bosses. That's never been a motivating factor. What has been a motivating factor, and for a lot of people that are creating that, is going, at what point can you dedicate more time to doing this thing that I really love doing? And for me, it was hard finally getting a full-time job as a composer and going, I can work and get a salary as a musician. And then having an opportunity to go, maybe we should actually have a go at this. What does a go of this mean? We decided we never wanted it to be a full-time job. You work 9 to 5, 6 days a week. We never wanted that. So sit down, we had a fried rice, agreed on how we'd probably do it if we did do it. We can still hark back to that conversation now about how we deal with sponsors and how we deal with disagreements and things like that. And then I went and spoke with my boss at the music studio that I worked at. And I said, I'm thinking of doing this thing. And he said something that'll stick with me. He said, this industry that you're working in now is a dinosaur. You have a chance to get on a rocket, so just get on it and fly.
A lot of the mods that we've done over the years have been music related anyway.
Yeah.
Like we invented we actually invented a portable music system using from like $50 worth of random
It was pretty
bits.
large, but it was a car battery that was connected to a CD-ROM that had a converter that could then run some speakers, some hi-fi speakers in a car. So
we got it from the tip, most of it.
Yeah, most of it. It was done for pretty cheap. We probably should have called it the iPod, but it was pretty big and pretty heavy.
And more recently, we made a busking vehicle. So we got a little Honda Jazz. It's called a Jazz, like it's begging to be called a musician's vehicle. And we decided that it would be cool to go and make some money busking because we realized that the income from streaming was not great.
Yeah, we worked out that the music for Mighty Car Mods has become quite popular, and we got a month's worth of streaming and decided to buy a car with that money. When I actually got the stats, it was about $321. So we bought a Jazz and went, as a musician, what can you do to a car? And we set it up so that you could plug a guitar into the outside of the car, into the bumper, so you could stand next to it. Then fold the doors open and then use the car's head unit and speakers to run a busking setup, and then went busking with it. So there are all sorts of things that you can do for cheap and for fun. I just recently started looking through some of the stuff in the archive and realizing how important it was looking at historical footage from Sydney, and just looking at how the city worked before I was there. And I think you get a really interesting sense of when a place existed before you, obviously all the way back to Indigenous Australians, and then all the way it stretches in front of you. It kind of makes you feel like, I don't know, small, but at the same time part of something that is before and after you. And so the idea that this thing that we've been doing that started on a suburban driveway as a couple of mates now gets to live on in this different form, and maybe at some time in the future someone can look back and say, what was it like to be an Aussie in cars at that time? I'm really proud that our version of what that is might see the light of day.